You really thought a chair could buy you love? Pathetic. Her words sliced through the clinking of silverware, louder than any knife against porcelain. My own mother, fresh from surgery, weak yet sharp as a blade, looked at me like I was dirt beneath her feet. The $3,500 wheelchair I had researched, chosen, and bought with trembling hands was parked right there beside her. And she told me to return it. Said she'd rather crawl than accept a favor from me. The laughter that followed hit harder than her words. My husband's chuckle blended with my brother's smirk, my sister's snort. A symphony of humiliation orchestrated at my expense. Hi everyone. My name is Lila Carter. I'm 29 years old. And in that moment, sitting at a long oak table under the soft glow of chandeliers, I asked myself a question that felt like a blade resting on my own throat. What kind of mother despises the daughter who bends her back to lift her up? I tried to breathe evenly to steady the shaking inside my chest. The room smelled of roast beef and buttered rolls, but all I could taste was iron, that faint bitterness of betrayal flooding my tongue. My fingers curled around my napkin, knuckles bone white. I didn't cry. I didn't plead. I didn't even defend myself. Instead, I stood quietly, stacking plates with robotic calm, like a servant in my own family's home. The laughter didn't stop. It grew, feeding on my silence, mistaking it for weakness. My husband didn't meet my eyes. He just kept laughing like he'd been waiting for this spotlight moment where he belonged to them more than to me. When I wheeled that chair out the door, no one tried to stop me. No one even noticed the way my chest rose and fell like a storm trying not to break. The night air outside was crisp, burning my lungs as I loaded the chair into my car with hands that refused to tremble. But I knew this. The humiliation wasn't over. Not yet. Because by the next morning, their own security cameras would reveal something that would silence their laughter forever. And I couldn't wait to watch it happen. The next morning arrived cloaked in silence. The kind of silence that doesn't feel peaceful. It feels pregnant, like the air is holding its breath. My phone buzzed before my alarm even rang. A text from my brother, then another from my sister. The words were sharp, clipped, desperate. Lila, did you come back last night? I stared at the screen, my stomach tightening. My mind replayed the dinner table humiliation, every laugh, every dismissive glance. My mother's face, cold, unyielding. My husband's shoulders shaking with laughter he never dared share with me before. And now this. I sat up, heart hammering. Come back. I whispered to myself. What exactly did their cameras catch? Hi, it's still me, Lila Carter. The girl who gave her mother mobility only to have it spat back like poison. The girl who swallowed humiliation in front of her entire family. And now apparently the girl they all thought had snuck back in the night. I pulled up my email, my messages. Nothing but their frantic pleas. We need to talk. You crossed the line. Tell us why you did it. My pulse quickened. I didn't move from the edge of my bed. Instead, I let the storm build inside my chest. My curiosity tangled with something darker. Satisfaction. They thought it was me. They were sure of it. The image played in my head before I even saw it. Security cameras flickering to life, catching shadows creeping through their front lawn. My mother's pristine home, invaded by something they couldn't explain. And me, quietly asleep miles away. My phone rang. This time my husband's name lit up the screen. My throat burned as I answered, letting silence sit between us like an executioner sharpening its blade. Lila. He hissed, his voice lower than I'd ever heard it. What the hell did you do last night? They've got you on camera. I smiled, though he couldn't see me. My voice came out steady, calm as glass. Funny. Because I was here the whole night. And I've got the receipts to prove it. The pause that followed was thick, heavy. He wasn't calling to ask if I did it. He was calling because they were terrified. And for the first time in years, I wasn't the one choking on fear. Because whatever those cameras had captured, it wasn't me. And I was about to let them all unravel under their own paranoia. That evening, my sister finally sent me the footage. Her message was shaky, almost incoherent. Tell me this isn't you. I tapped the video open. The familiar view of my mother's driveway flickered onto my phone screen, the timestamp glowing like an accusation. Midnight. The moonlight spilled across the pavement, catching the edge of a figure wheeling a chair. My heart stopped. The shape was unmistakable. Someone in the dead of night, pushing the very wheelchair I had taken back right up their front steps. The wheels creaked, the frame glistened under the porch light. The figure's face, though, was a blur. No features. Just a shadow moving with a steady, deliberate grace. I leaned closer, searching for the flaw. My pulse pounded in my ears. Every few seconds the camera glitched like static rippling across an old TV. The kind of glitch you'd expect from tampered footage. "Lila," my sister's voice message followed, breaking through the silence. She sounded more terrified than angry. "It looks like you. The hair, the coat. Why would you bring it back just to leave it there?" I stared at the frozen frame. My coat. My height. Even the way the figure tilted their head. It mirrored me too perfectly. My lips parted, but no sound came. Inside I felt the old ache. The need to defend myself, to explain, to beg them to believe me. But another part of me, darker, sharper, rose instead. Let them believe it. Let them spiral. Because for once their weapon wasn't aimed at me by my own hand. It was aimed at them by something else. Something that wanted them unsettled. When I called my husband back, he sounded brittle, like glass ready to shatter. "Lila, if this is your idea of revenge, stop. It's sick." I inhaled slowly, letting silence stretch. Then, with ice in my voice, I said, "If you think I'd waste one more night on that house, you don't know me at all." I hung up. My reflection stared back at me from the black screen of my phone. I should have been afraid. But instead, for the first time in years, I felt powerful. Because the cameras had turned the tables. And soon their laughter would rot into fear. By the next morning, my mother's voice was the one cracking through the phone. Not sharp, not venomous, shaken. "Lila," she whispered, and for a moment I almost didn't recognize her tone. "The chair. It's in the living room now." My blood ran cold. I gripped the phone tighter, pressing it against my ear like I could catch every trembling breath. "What are you talking about? You said it was on the porch." "It was," she rasped. "But when I woke up this morning, it was here. By my bed." I closed my eyes, 1,000 thoughts colliding. Either someone was playing a cruel trick, or something unexplainable had slipped into their perfect little fortress. Either way, it wasn't my burden. Not anymore. "Hi, it's still me, Lila Carter. Daughter of a woman who once told me I was a mistake. Wife of a man who laughed at me until tears streamed down his face. For years I've been their scapegoat, the butt of every cruel joke. But this time their fear wasn't mine to carry." "You think I broke in and wheeled it by your bed?" I asked, my voice low, steady. "You think I'd risk everything just to make a point?" Silence. Then faintly the sound of her sobbing. My mother, who had never once cried in front of me, was choking on her own terror. That's when I realized something. The house that had always been a stage for my humiliation had turned against them. Me. I was finally free of its walls. I pulled back the curtains in my apartment, watching sunlight spill across the floorboards. The world outside moved on, traffic buzzing, birds darting through the sky, while my family drowned in their own paranoia. A smile tugged at my lips, small but undeniable. For the first time, it wasn't me explaining, defending, or proving. It was them. And I wasn't going to save them from it. Because sometimes revenge doesn't come in the shape of a strike. Sometimes it's the silence you leave behind. That afternoon I got a call from my husband. His voice was tight, almost hoarse, like he hadn't slept. "Lila." It moved again. I let the words sink in, savoring the weight of them. "What do you mean?" He exhaled sharply. "The chair. It's not by her bed anymore. It's in the dining room. Right where you stood last night, clearing the plates." A chill rolled down my spine, but I didn't let it show. "Sounds like your problem, not mine." "Don't play games with me," he snapped. But beneath the anger I heard fear. Real fear. The kind that eats through a person's bravado and leaves them hollow. I hung up before he could say more. By evening I had the footage myself. My brother sent it this time, his message frantic. "Lila, you need to see this. Tell me what's happening." The video loaded. Same angle, same static glitches. The figure appeared again, pushing the wheelchair across the living room floor. No sound, no expression, just steady motion. But here's the part that froze my breath. When the figure passed beneath the chandelier, the face flickered into view. It was me. My face. Every detail, down to the faint scar on my left eyebrow. But I knew where I had been that night, curled up on my own couch, scrolling through rental listings, documenting every second with time-stamped receipts. Still, the camera swore it was me. I replayed it again and again, waiting for the illusion to crack. But each time my likeness stared back, haunting the halls of the very house I had abandoned. For years my family treated me like the ghost in the room. The afterthought. The disappointment. No. Their own cameras were showing them exactly that. A ghost with my face. I almost laughed. Because whether it was sabotage, a glitch, or something neither of us could explain, one truth was undeniable. They were finally afraid of me. And I had no reason to correct them. The next night my phone lit up at 2:17 a.m. My sister's name flashed across the screen. I almost let it ring, but curiosity clawed me awake. Her voice was frantic, broken. "Lila, it's in my room now." I sat up, heart thundering. "What is?" "The chair," she gasped. I locked my door. I swear I locked it. But when I woke up, it was sitting in the corner. Facing me. I closed my eyes, picturing it. That polished metal frame gleaming in the dark. The vinyl seat turned into a silent witness. My sister, who had laughed the loudest at dinner, now reduced to stuttering breaths in the middle of the night. "I told you," I whispered, my voice calm, controlled. "This isn't me." "Then who, what?" she choked, but the line cut out before she finished. I leaned back against my pillows, staring at the ceiling. For years I had been the one left speechless, silenced by their cruelty. Now the silence was theirs. By morning the family group chat was chaos. Messages flying back and forth, each one sharper, more hysterical. "Mom swears she heard it creak down the hallway." "Check the cameras again, it's there every night now." "If Lila's not doing this, then who is?" I didn't reply. I wanted them to sit in that uncertainty, to feel what I had felt my entire life. Unwanted, unseen, yet constantly accused. I still me. Lila Carter. The daughter they tried to break. The wife they laughed at. The sister they mocked. No. The ghost in their minds. I walked to the window and looked out at the city lights. People below hurried through their lives, untouched by my family's unraveling. For once, their misery was self-contained. And I realized something chilling, something beautiful. I didn't have to lift a finger. They were destroying themselves piece by piece. All I had to do was let the chair roll. By the weekend they couldn't take it anymore. My brother demanded we all meet at my mother's house. To clear the air, he said. I knew what that really meant. They wanted to corner me, force me to confess to a crime I hadn't committed. I went. Not because I owed them anything, but because I wanted to watch. The air in the house was thick, charged, like a storm waiting to break. My mother sat rigid at the dining table, pale and gaunt. My sister paced the length of the room, muttering under her breath. My husband stood apart, arms crossed, eyes darting to me with suspicion he didn't bother to hide. The wheelchair sat against the wall. Silent. Innocent. "Why are you doing this?" my brother finally snapped, slamming his palm on the table. "First you humiliate Mom with your stunt. Then you sneak back here every night. What do you want from us, Lila?" I leaned back in my chair, calm as stone. "Do you have proof it's me?" He faltered. My sister whirled around, hair sticking to her damp face. "The cameras show you. Your face, your clothes, your everything. Who else could it be?" I let the silence stretch until it cut through their panic. Then softly I said, "Maybe you should ask yourselves why the house wants me here more than it wants you." Their eyes widened. My mother's lips trembled, but no sound came. Just then a faint creak echoed down the hall. Every head turned. The wheelchair had shifted, barely an inch, but it was enough. None of us had touched it. My sister screamed. My brother cursed. My husband muttered something under his breath, backing away from the wall like the chair might leap at him. I simply smiled, my heartbeat steady. For once I wasn't the outcast. I was the center of their fear, their obsession, their unraveling. And in that moment I knew my revenge was complete. But one final twist remained, one last truth they'd never see coming. The house had gone quiet. My brother had stormed out, my sister locked herself in the guest room, and my husband sat hunched in the corner, whispering to himself. My mother remained frozen at the dining table, eyes fixed on the chair like it held her life in its wheels. I stood slowly, every movement deliberate. The wooden floor groaned beneath me, each step pulling their attention tighter around my throat. I walked to the wheelchair and rested my hand on its cold frame. "You think I did this?" I said, my voice low even. "That I'd waste my nights haunting you with a gift you spat on?" No one answered. I leaned down, my reflection glinting in the polished steel. But the truth is, I don't need to lift a finger. This house is showing you what I've lived my whole life. The ghost you created when you decided I wasn't enough. When you laughed at me. When you made me invisible. My mother flinched, her lips parting. But no words came. I straightened, letting my gaze sweep the room. Now you finally know what it feels like to choke on fear. To doubt your own reflection. To see shadows where there are none. That's not me doing it. That's your guilt. The air thickened. The chair gave the faintest creak as if agreeing. My husband cursed under his breath and bolted for the door. My sister followed, sobbing. My brother's car roared to life outside. And my mother, my proud, cruel mother, sat trembling, her hand clutching her chest. For the first time in my life, she didn't look at me with scorn. She looked at me with something far more satisfying. Terror. I didn't shout. I didn't explain further. I simply pushed the chair toward her, its wheels whispering across the floor, then turned and walked out without looking back. The night air hit me like a baptism. Cool. Cleansing. Free. Their house could keep its ghosts. I was done carrying them. And as the door closed behind me, I felt it, quiet, steady, absolute. Justice.